Keep Our Republic is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization. Since the spring of 2020, we've been doing our part to help keep our republic. We do it through hyper-localized civic education. We talk with Americans through town halls, through legal seminars, media briefings, and other events. We know a lot of Americans have a lot of questions about how our elections work, what safeguards are in place, and who actually is working behind the scenes on election night as the votes are being tabulated. And that's why we're really glad you're joining us today. Hopefully, we can answer some of those questions. Lynn Henry, thanks so much for joining us and more so joining our audience.
Thank you for the invite. I look forward to this today.
Well, tell folks a little about Genesee County and your township in particular.
I am the deputy clerk for Grand Blanc Township. I've been here for almost 8 years, and we happen to be the second largest jurisdiction in Genesee County. I currently run day-to-day operations for Grand Blanc Township, and I am the elections director as well. I am the president of the Genesee County Governmental Clerks Association, so I am the one that will help bring in all the different changes in constitutional amendments, election law, to bring them up to date, keep them informed of what is going on across the state, changes we see coming. So I just started my third term as president, which I really enjoyed, and I'm also had been a part of the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks for the last 4 years. So we happen to be one of the larger jurisdictions, like I said, in Genesee County. So we do handle a lot of the trainings here. They come to Grand Blanc Township, and we are hands-on, always available to help with our county because our county clerk is fairly new as well, and his team have been learning. So in 24, I helped them train all the election inspectors across Genesee County as they were learning the job as well.
Okay, a lot of great stuff to unpackage there. We'll get to the distinction between the local clerks and the county clerk and changes that have happened in recent years in Michigan. I feel like often when I have conversations with folks from Michigan, they put up their hand, they refer to the midden. We don't need to do that, but maybe give non-Michiganders a sense of where Genesee County is.
We are located near Flint, to be honest. So everyone knows where Flint is, our water crisis, different things that have happened. Flint is growing. So we run into the city of Flint once you turn out of our office. So we're centrally located in the state of Michigan, more so to the east.
So Flint certainly is not, but is the rest of the county rural, suburban? Give a audience the sense of your voters and your constituents.
We have a little bit of everything. So there are 28 townships and cities in Genesee County and 2 villages. So we kind of range. We do have rural. We have some nice small cities that are compact. The city of Fenton has so much to offer. City of Linden is growing as well. And then we have some townships that are pretty rural, farming across. For us, we are a large township with some new development at the south end of our town. So we have some manufacturing, we have restaurants, stores. So we have a lot of IFTs, tax abatements here in Grand Blanc Township. But there is a little bit of everything in Genesee County.
So, Grand Blanc is actually where I grew up. So, I got to experience a lot of the wonderful things that your township offers. And I was lucky enough to actually work or see how you kicked off early voting in the state. That was something really incredible that you volunteered to do that for the county. How did that first election go? Doing early voting?
So actually it worked out great for us. We got to do it in November of 23. We are one of the communities, I believe there was only a handful of us implementing 90 early voting as a trial period. And I actually had reached out to the state and asked if we could be one of the jurisdictions to be a trial. And they said, absolutely. And it gave us a preparation going into presidential primary, the general, and the presidential primary also in February. And the turnout wasn't what we had hoped, but just getting an opportunity for different communities across the state to come in to see how it was operated. People, different clerks across the state of Michigan came in, people from the Bureau of Elections came to our office, and just getting to run that process. And then every morning, the panel, we had a meeting with the elections director for the state of Michigan, Jonathan Brader, Lori Bourbonnais. And so we kind of would meet and say, hey, this is happening to us. Is that happening to you? Also at that time, the qualified voter file ended up being a live format, which has always been against because of computer hacking, whatnot, right? So that made it real time. So if we were scanning ballots here in our office, it already went to 9-day early voting. So someone could not vote twice whatsoever. And so that was a whole new trying to learn qualified voter file, what it looked like versus our electronic poll book on election day. But everyone that has worked 9-day early voting since then absolutely loves election day, 9-day early voting poll book, because it's so much easier to use than the election day poll book. And that is something that the state of Michigan is hopefully can make happen within the next few years. Some changes have to be made in election law and everything for that to happen. Some jurisdictions, being rural, do not have the capability like for internet, Wi-Fi internet, how you have to be connected. So it's going to affect some rural areas, especially far northern Michigan, up above in the UP, because they run on a different basis than most of us, down here, Oakland County, the larger jurisdictions down in Macomb County. So there's some things that they have to work out that will take a little bit of time. But just being a part of the process, being able to teach it, what we learned, what was working, what wasn't working, being on the process of building that electronic, the poll book, the precinct kit, it's a different magnitude of work, extra work on all the clerks across the state of Michigan doing 9-day early voting. The minimum requirement for the ones that don't know, we have to do it in the state of Michigan now, a minimum 9 days, but we can do it up to 30 days now. But that's up to your jurisdiction. It's not mandatory, but mandatory is 9 days. But just being a part of it and then being able to teach everyone in Genesee County how to run it going into 24 and being able to be that pilot program, we really enjoyed it and loved being out there out front, be the first ones to do it for sure.
Thanks very much for going in depth. And as you alluded to, there were other changes that have happened in recent years. So maybe you can give top line on those, and then also for non-Michigan audience members, just give a sense of the genesis of why there were so many changes and the process to make these changes.
So over the last several years, I've seen a lot of changes. Been doing this for like 14 years. Is that 2018 Prop 18-3? That changed absentee voting, and that changed anyone could vote absentee. And so going into 2020, we ran into the biggest election because of COVID, and then anyone could vote absentee. Grand Blanc Township of May of 2020 was one of very few that have ever had an all-mail election for a special election. We had a school election. They did not back down. They wanted it. So for a school election that time, because everybody was home during COVID, we issued over 10,000 ballots for a school election, which is unheard of because normally people don't vote so much. So we are used to issuing 2,300 ballots. So it was a huge increase. We did everything by AV. We had to go down to the school, had a ton of precincts set up. AV counting boards is what they're called here in the state of Michigan. And having an all-mail election was totally different. So then going into 2020 November, the increase of absentee ballots just exploded, I guess I should say. In 2022, it did not go down at all. And then that also changed. Prop 22-2 was 9-day early voting, perm ballot list. So for us, we went from during 2020, we had like a list of 3,500 on our permanent list for a ballot application, all the way up to over 10,000 in 22 perm ballot change. So every election here for us in Grand Blanc Township, just to get an understanding, we have to issue over 10,000 ballots every election now because of perm ballot, the way our constitution had changed. So it's a lot more work on the offices now because of perm ballot. They get it no matter what because they're on that list. And then 9-day early voting. And then if you get an absentee ballot with 9-day early voting, with another change is they can bring that ballot in to 9-day early voting and cast that ballot in the machine themselves if they're more comfortable with that, or they can go on election day and take that ballot and submit it into the tabulator on election day as well. So we're issuing them a ballot. Then they have to do a whole nother process once they get to the precinct. So it's a little bit of a double job in that circumstance, but it gives the voter an opportunity to look at the ballot ahead of time that they're not comfortable just looking at it on election day. But then it also gives that voter confidence that a lot of people would like just to feed it through that day, but want to look at the ballot. So that has, I think, given confidence to some of the voters for ballot security. Now they can have it ahead of time, look at it, make proper choices, and then they can feed it through if they wish. Our EV counting board across the state of Michigan, our absentee ballots are so secure. I guess the measures that we have to take ahead of time between testing and procedures and lockup and all the checks and balances we have during a whole election cycle, it is very, very secure.
Just a corollary to that. So what machines do you all use?
We use HART in Genesee County.
And I think that we have some listeners that are super deep in the weeds, and then some listeners like students and others that are just intrigued about the profession. So what's the process that you decide to go with that company?
So currently we're out for bid right now for equipment if it's time. So what happens if the state will go out, they'll meet with clerks across and county clerks and everything, come up with an RFP, and then they'll go through and rate to see what meets the qualifications at that time. So our equipment is coming up to being 10 years old, so it's good for 10 years. And then we go through the whole other process. So they ended up coming up with 3 different companies, ES&S, Dominion, and HART. And ultimately, each county got to pick which vendor they would like to use. And our county picked HART, and there's only 11 HART counties across the state of Michigan, and I believe 7 ES&S, and the rest went with Dominion across the state. We've currently had no issues with HART in our jurisdiction as far as like going through audits. Everything is matched every single time. We go through hand audits. The Bureau of Elections comes in and audit us. And so I currently am happy with HART in the way it has been so accurate, I guess is what I would want to say. We've never had any issues, as I've heard from other clerks across the state of Michigan have different issues with some of their equipment. I don't hear that coming across from our current vendor.
So you have been in your role for a while and you are obviously incredibly passionate about it. You have helped Genesee County through some pretty new ideas and sticky situations. What really inspired you to get into a role like this?
Actually, I fell into this role. So I worked my way up. You know, I love what I do. Elections are my passion. I love to teach about elections. I love teaching election inspector training. I am passionate about it and keeping democracy intact, letting everyone know that our elections are safe and secure across the state of Michigan, and being transparent and sharing that, across, the county for sure, and the state, that it is safe to vote absentee. It is safe to go to the polling location. There's nothing illy-willy going on anywhere across the state of Michigan. And what I believe voters don't understand, all the checks and balances we have to go through and the audit procedures. And when I run into, naysayers or whomever, I'm like, well, become an election inspector, see how it works. Give it a chance, just learn. Or my biggest thing is, please just call me. I will talk to you. I'll answer questions for 30 minutes if that's what you need to, make you feel secure about your vote and turning in an absentee ballot. I'll take that time versus, trying to answer some crazy social media post.
Um, I don't want to dwell on a negative, and I like that term, naysayers. It's a bit of a euphemism because I'm sure some of these conversations in recent years have been quite heated. Um, let's do a little bit of rapid fire of what are the questions? And look, it's American going back to the dawn of the Republic to ask questions of our government, and that's a beautiful thing in a democracy like this. But it's clear a lot of Michiganders have a lot of questions because there have been a lot of changes. There's also people whose questions maybe are a little more conspiratorial. So, what are some of the more popular or common questions that seem to come up?
Our biggest issue is signature verification. I've done this through 3 times, or why are you checking my signature? Also, is my ballot going to count? Are you just throwing it in the back and not going to count it? I mailed it to you. It's those things, or I am violating their right to vote because I'm asking for more information to verify who they are and trying to explain this is the law. I'm only following the law. Being screamed at, constantly on election day because they waited to the last minute to register to vote. That's not a me issue. That happens to be a you issue, and you're not going to treat myself or my staff like this because you waited to the last minute and you don't have the proper information. I have given the information, the phone number to the Bureau of Elections because they've threatened to turn me in and I'm not letting them vote. I'm like, here's the phone number. You can go ahead and give them a call. Here it is. And, I bend over backwards the best that I can, following the law, of course. But there's certain circumstances that I can't help them. They don't have the proper information. I'm sorry, you either have to go to your other jurisdiction or you're not going to be able to vote, or you're going to have to vote, a ballot that's not going to get turned in until you bring me the information that I need. So we try to get out ahead of time, especially large elections, even years like, hey, it's time to register to vote. Don't forget to have all your stuff in. You can only tell them for so long that, hey, you got to take responsibility also.
How many total voters, we should have discussed this earlier, how many total voters are there in the township?
I have 32,000 registered voters.
Oh, wow. And then what is turnout on
I
average?
have about a 72% turnout.
Oh, wow. My hat goes off to the voters of your township. That's great. I wish the rest of the country turned out at that level.
Yes, we do have quite a big turnout, obviously on a special election, but big years we do. Currently going into a large election year with everyone in Michigan here, terming out our governor, secretary of state, attorney general. They're saying it'll probably be bigger than our presidential election in 24. The turnout should be.
And you got control of the legislature and obviously the U.S. Congress. There's a lot happening in the state of Michigan. So
there
really,
is.
Really appreciate you and your colleagues in the trenches making elections happen. I think most people just take it for granted that, oh, it's like electricity, you just turn on a switch. No, there's so many moving pieces that are behind the scenes in any election.
As I was saying, we have a May special election. We're already starting to prepare. So I think the normal person doesn't realize the amount of hours that we put into preparing for an election. And the more that we can prepare on our end just makes election day go much smoother. So in November, preparing in 24, my staff and myself, we worked 64 days straight to make sure that we were prepared, ready ahead of time, what we could swamp. They just weren't 8-hour days. We averaged probably 10 hours a day. We worked Saturdays, Sundays, and then 9-day early voting kicked in. So usually on those weekends, you could get caught up on some things, people weren't coming in, but now with 9-day early voting, that changes, that takes away those extra weekends to get caught up on items you didn't get to during the week. And then also another thing to think about is we still have our everyday job to do. We have minutes in, I have FOIA, accounts payable, any, special assessment districts, payroll that I have to get out. So I just don't do elections either. I have a daily job I have to do on top of mailing out, 16,000 ballots in an election cycle.
Well, we're going to let you get back to that daily job. You've been super generous with your time. Kamryn will pose the last question.
What is a moment, it's a little bit more heartfelt than diving truly deep into the facts of Michigan elections, but what's a moment from your career that has really reminded you why your role is so important and integral?
In 24, it was a big change. 22 was rough. People were not very friendly, very angry for whatever reason. In 24, during the whole election season, they were all very thankful. Thank you for what you do. We appreciate you for what you do. And being a part of the Michigan Association of Municipal Clerks and being on the board and doing training and setting all that up, being able to be a part of that has really helped me grow, where I feel I've made a difference as far as being out there trying to learn more to be better for elections in itself. But just I love that people are more appreciative in 24, and because there for a while I didn't know if I wanted to do it anymore, because it was hard. It was hard. I never feared for anything before. And so to have people come back in though in 24 and like put that back in me, instill in me, yeah, this is really what I still love to do. And just trying to make a difference and keeping people informed of all the changes is what's most important to me.
Well, Lynn, we call the show Keepers of the Republic because we think that you and your colleagues across this country are the most important thing to keeping this republic. Free and fair elections. We should just acknowledge that there's well over 1 billion people in this world that don't have any concept of free and fair elections, and we shouldn't take it for granted. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. You guys take care.
If you like this episode, please share it on social media and tell your friends. It's the best way for folks to find out about us. I hope you'll agree that our guest is indeed a keeper of the Republic. If you want to learn more about how you can help keep our Republic, stop on over to our website, keepourrepublic.org.